Another downtown Long's Drugs set to close in Honolulu. Now, what's interesting about this is Long's Drugs has already closed its downtown Honolulu. We're talking Hawaii, going all the way to Hawaii. I just covered Walmart closing down in downtown Honolulu. So we're not talking this is just a West Coast deal phenomenon where Walmart's closing down. I just covered Everett, Walmart being closed down. This is the culmination of so much compassion and so much policy that was supposed to help folks. And yet it's actually impacting those who can handle it the least. And that's your low income folks. And oftentimes it's in your BIPOC communities. Those are the people, and senior citizens are impacted immensely from this because they can't get to, where they need to go. And also another thing that we forget about is that all the people that are employed that are in the food chain supply, bringing all this stuff to a Long's, not just food, but medication, goods and services. Anybody who's in the food chain or in the supply chain of bringing stuff to a Long's, bringing stuff to a Walmart, everybody's getting impacted because of policy that has allowed shoplifting, crime, drugs to just flourish. That's what's happening. We're going to read this story and then we're going to go watch a video and then we're going to talk a little bit more. Let's jump on into it. Let's get into it. Let's see what we've got going on for Long's Drugs in Honolulu. All right, here we go. Hey, if you haven't checked out our members only section of News for Reasonable People, if you just like this channel and you want to watch some more content, this could be your thing. It's $10 a month. It's a way to support what we do. A lot of the content that's on our members only section, you will not find anywhere else because it would get censored so heavily that we can't really put it there. So we're putting it elsewhere. Here you go. News for Reasonable People, our reasonabletv.com members only section. Check it out. Thanks in advance. Also love to have you subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. All right. Thanks. Here you go. So let's check out super quick on a map. Where are we talking about? Where are we talking about? So when I covered the Walmart is right here in downtown Honolulu. It's kind of on the cusp of being in Chinatown or downtown Honolulu, neither of which are particularly low crime areas. Now, you've got a lot of homelessness. You got a lot of drugs. You got a lot of people consuming drugs. You got a lot of people selling stuff for drugs in these areas. So, Walmart, Long's Drugs, Walgreens. Now, Long's Drugs has already closed down both of its downtown Honolulu stores. Yeah, we're not selling stuff there anymore because when more stuff walks out the front door unpaid for, there's this little thing called profitability, and we need to be able to kick some money to our investors in the form of stock price and whatnot, all that business talk. And we will get a little bit of business talk every now and then, in these closures. They talk about, the store was underperforming. It was being robbed blind. Let's call it what it is. It was being robbed blind. And you don't want to say that because when you say that, you reflect on the community in general. But that's literally what's going on. So the Long's Drugs here is across the main highway and to the north of downtown Honolulu. So you're kind of getting a little bit outside of downtown Honolulu, but you got the same impact. You've got Waikiki is over here. So all the famous beaches, and here's Diamond Head here. And so you've got all the touristy stuff here, which is more safe than downtown Honolulu. But Long's Drugs is already out. It shut down 2 of its locations in downtown earlier in 2022. And we are talking about, further shutting down stores. So Long's Drugs corporate, sits down and goes, okay, which are our least performing stores? All right, that one there. And which one of them has the worst look? What's the most likely to be shut down? Now, it's going to be one where they're struggling with homelessness. Shoplifting is certainly a metric. That whole loss prevention thing. Yeah, it's a thing. So when corporate sits down to look at that, they make these, decisions and criteria. And they just say, there's no emotion to it. Business is not emotional. And that's something I love about business. It's like, well, it comes down to dollars and cents. And even though this serves a very special community, let's call it that, where it serves a community that needs its services, if it doesn't have the ability to be a profitable store, corporate's going to shut it down. Management's going to shut it down. And that is unfortunately just how this works. There's none of this, it's that whole Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings. And they don't. The fact is, these Long's drug stores were not profitable. They had too much of their merchandise walking out the front door. The look isn't good. Oftentimes you will see we got a lot of foot traffic here. Why are they shutting this store down? The parking lot is full. Well, because, XYZ percentage of your stuff is walking out in the 5-finger discount out your front door. Oh, well, they should have more security. Policies in places where this is happening, security, it can't do much. It can't do much. Their hands are tied. The comment about the police being impotent to do what they need to do. I mean, here in Washington State, you can't even chase somebody that committed a crime. It's got to fit this, definition of, well, you need to have some actual proof in hand before you start chasing that police car that you start chasing that getaway car in your police car. It's just this stupid policy that doesn't help anybody. Well, we're trying to cut down on car crashes. How about you try and cut down on all the crime going on that people know they can get away with, because if they hop in their car, you're not going to chase them. What about that? Oh, well, we were trying to be compassionate and help our fellow human being, and I guess it didn't work out. Walgreens closes. Walmart closes. Haven't seen too many Home Depots close. They seem to be pretty resilient. But it's going to happen. At some point, that's going to happen too. Maybe it's because it's just harder to steal stuff from Home Depot. Maybe they've got better loss prevention. I don't know. But I mean, I've run into, shoplifting at my local Home Depot. Where I don't see a lot of shoplifting is Trader Joe's. Am I just imagining that? I go there a lot. Trader Joe's. I know. But they've got great food. You're not forced to choose. I want a box of cereal. I don't want 85 choices of boxes of cereal. Just give me like 3 and I'll choose the marginally healthy one. I'll choose the one that, less sugar, lower carbs, that whole thing, less crazy ingredients that you can't pronounce that you don't know what they are. I try and, shop that way. But, you've got some of these stores where it's just known fact, Walmart being one of them. One of the interesting articles I read yesterday, and it was actually kind of sad, but it was an elder in a church was saying, what did they expect with you putting this store in our community? They were just basically saying, you knew stuff was going to get ripped off. Look where this is. It's one of those kind of things. And I'm like, okay, so you're just basically saying you're blaming it on the store for locating a business in your community, knowing that there's a lot of shoplifting going on and knowing there's a lot of shenanigans, a lot of drug dealing and whatnot. You're blaming corporate for putting it there. And then when they pull the exit plug and pull it out because it wasn't profitable, you get double mad at them. All right. Okay. It is what it is. Facts don't care about your feelings. It wasn't making any money. And the policies that are in place make it such that big business doesn't want to be there. And they, hit the exit plug and they jet off. All right, let's watch a quick little video here. This is a good one. If you've seen my Honolulu Walmart closing down, you've already seen this clip, but this covers Long's drugs as well. Here we go.
Having trouble staying afloat. Those living here say they're worried their neighborhood is being overlooked. Honolulu's downtown Walmart, which announced it will close next month, follows on the heels of many downtown staples shutting their doors, including multiple Long's Drugs locations. Now, local residents are saying they're having a harder time shopping for basic necessities.
And it's just going to be a big inconvenience, and it's a shame that the neighborhood has gone down. I've been here 5 years now, and I can see the downward trend with other stores closing.
Some of these downtown dwellers rely on walkable convenience stores, most of which are no longer close by enough.
With Walmart announcing that it's also closing, it feels like another pillar of the downtown community is collapsing. It kind of feels like we're being abandoned here.
Others are worried about local homeless and crime issues being a deterrent to businesses wanting to stick around. Downtown UPS store owner Bill Whitty says this includes his own business.
I have problems right out in front of the store, and my customer count is down. People are afraid to come into my store.
City Council member Tyler Dos Santos Tam says he expects the city's budget to rise enough for more of a police presence in the area, and says different businesses will take the place of these currently and soon to be empty spots.
Soon there is supposed to be a Korean supermarket coming in where Long's used to be, next to the Ross and Fort Street Mall. Hopefully once that opens, that will reactivate some of the space.
Hopefully, downtown residents will have a safer neighborhood and some new favorite stores soon. Kate Medeiros, KITV4 Island News.
Reactivate. So you're going to reactivate a store. You're just going to throw a new store in there and say, hey, Long's big company under the CVS company. They couldn't make it, but you're an independent. Maybe you can make it. Maybe you've got a special secret sauce for the homelessness, the drug dealing, the, general overall shoplifting. Maybe you have the magic recipe for this. It kills me when you've got this kind of talk. Just lay it out straight. Hey, got a new store going in? Good luck with that, because if Longs couldn't make it, why would you? But hey, I'm all for the underdog. I'd love to see you succeed. Maybe you'll make this work. Maybe you won't, but thanks for trying. Wouldn't you love to have that on from some city councilman? Hey, it's probably not going to work out, but I give you 2 thumbs up for effort here. Keep her going. Attaboy. Let's go. Get that store going. Wouldn't you love to see that? Just a quasi Tony Robbins, Gary V talk. Hey, just kind of some realism in there. Instead, you've got guys like this. We're hoping that it'll reactivate. There's nothing wrong with the activity going on. The sheer volume of activity you've got going on in downtown Honolulu. There's a lot of people walking around. Unfortunately, there are people that are stealing from your store, and you need to figure out how to take care of that. Yeah, you're going to have to actually arrest some people. You're going to have to put some people in jail. You're going to have to put some people in treatment. You're going to have to put some people in the Looney Tune bin. Now, I know that's not a term that we use, but, I grew up watching a lot of cartoons, and Looney Tunes was, that was a staple of our cartoons. So I'm not dissing mentally ill people. I'm just making an important historic reference there. But like in my last podcast, do not say shizzle the next word, because that could get you fired. Didn't know that. I had no idea. Did you see that storyline? That's nuts. Reporter said that. She was just talking about what Snoop Dogg says. Now, maybe as adults, we shouldn't quote Snoop Dogg, because sometimes he says some stuff that, might get you in trouble, especially if you're white. And that's what happened. A reporter said the shizzle and it was a slang term for the N word, and not good. Got fired. Just let go. That's not good. But what's it going to take? And in the other video I did on the Walmart closing down in Honolulu, I read a bunch of the comments, and it's on this video. If you want to Google downtown Honolulu stores keep closing, worrying locals, there's some funny comments. Basically just comments, the same comments you guys leave on my videos, which is, well, you get what you pay for, and you voted this policy in. Why would we expect anything different? We wouldn't, right? So Long's is ahead of the game here. They have smaller stores. It's a drugstore, right? Walmart has bigger stores, typically, unless you've got one of those smaller, express type stores that's smaller. But the Long stores, they've already closed 2 down in Honolulu, closed downtown. They're just boom, done, out. And then they're closing one outside of downtown Honolulu now. That's the one we're covering. So you are going to be left with few options. And in these communities, that's what folks are concerned about. They're concerned about being in a food or drug or goods desert. Like, I don't have anything for miles here, and our folks can't really get around to get this stuff. What are we going to do? Yeah, you're going to have a lot of deliveries, aren't you? Yeah. But big corporate is basically coming right out and saying, yep, nope, not your community. And one of the comments in the Walmart in this video is, hey, you know what? You see it in these states, all these companies being closing down stores, but you're not seeing it so much in these states. Huh. And the person said, I'll give you a hint. Look at their voting patterns. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, that's what it comes down to. You allowed policy into your area, into your state, into your city. You supported that. Maybe you defunded the police, which added just a little bit more fire, fuel to that fire. But you went down, hey, decriminalizing drugs. You went down decriminalizing shoplifting, not really putting people in jail because that's just not what we're doing anymore. Well, some cities are, and they're not shutting down big corporate stores in droves, are they? Yeah. It's weird. It's weird, the correlation that you've got going on there, isn't it? It's weird. Another downtown Long's drug set to close. Yeah. This is from May of 2022. And this kind of gives some of the background. Businesses like that will affect a small business if it's closing around here, Rodriguez said. Walgreens was one of the first businesses that closed. Now Long's across the street, talking about there was a couple of Long's in downtown Honolulu. Now Long's across the street. It's bad news, for downtown. Rodriguez said he is seeing less petty theft and drug activity around his business, at least during office hours. All right, so we're trying to do the good spin here. Hey, we know there's a lot of drug activity. We know there's a lot of theft, but it feels like it's slightly less. Meanwhile, you got stores closing down. You're left with a food and drug desert, literally. But once the sun starts going down, that's when more homeless, more stealing, more a little bit looting starts happening at night, he explained. We've got looting in downtown Honolulu. Now, you've probably got stores being broken into and people doing that kind of thing. But that's happening in every city that has a major drug problem, doesn't it? You got people bashing windows in, grabbing stuff, going and selling it for the next fix. And that's just what we're doing. It's just what we're dealing with. A Honolulu appraiser and broker, that sounds like me, Stephanie Sophos, said in general, it's difficult to attract large retailers to the downtown area. Graffiti and shattered windows on vacant retail spaces do not help. That is a blinding glimpse of the obvious, isn't it? Yeah, that does not say, hey, bring your tourism dollars, bring your consumer dollars to downtown Honolulu. The shattered windows and graffiti, just that whole escape from New York look, doesn't really help things out, doesn't it? It doesn't scream, spend your dollars here. Come on in. It's going to be good. The graffiti, that's art. Don't worry about that. Broken windows? Hey, it's Honolulu. It's Hawaii. It's hot. We are increasing the ventilation for you. How about that for a spin? Think anybody buy that? Yeah, well, what about all the homeless people outside? We hire homeless to, perform security functions here at Long's Drugs just outside of downtown Honolulu. Negotiations take a long time, and then you have to do your tenant improvements and you have to redevelop the space for your needs, Sophos said. So you're talking about maybe 6 months to a year if it happened today. So it's gonna be a while. Let's talk about downtown office commercial buildings that look like they're empty. This question came up. I said I'd work it into a podcast. This is that podcast. Who pays taxes? Who owns those buildings? We are talking about in the downtown core when you drive downtown to go, do whatever it is you're doing. And you look at these buildings that barely look like they're standing up. And it's like, why can't they redevelop that and put homeless people in there? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? Why can't we? Who owns those buildings? Why can't the government just take them? Well, the first one is somebody is paying taxes on that, because if they're not, the city or whatever entity will do a tax sale and they'll take that property, right? They'll take that property. They have the right to do that if you don't pay your taxes. So somebody is typically paying taxes. Now, why are they paying taxes on a building that's decrepit? They're land banking it. It's not a building. Think of it as just straight dirt. So it's the dirt with the zoning on it. That's really all that matters. And maybe it's part of their long-term redevelopment plan. Some companies that have, millions and millions of dollars in reserves, can hold properties like this. And what they do is they hold until the market, develops or gets better or something opens up, an opportunity opens up. Then they're going to tear that building down and then they're going to build whatever. Right? So you don't think of it as a decrepit building. Just think of it as a lot, a vacant land parcel, because that's what it is. So somebody's always paying taxes. Somebody owns it. Now you might say, hey, what about Detroit? It's got a lot of empty homes. A lot of those have been taken over by foreclosure, right? So you might have a lender that owns those homes. They're going to be the ones paying taxes. They're going to have, their name's going to be on title. You're going to see that. We saw that all day long in the Great Recession. But that's single family homes. You don't have a lot of that in commercial because commercial is basically, it's not housing as an enjoyable amenity. Hey, we're living here. We love this house. We got to live somewhere. Business and business development of commercial sites is totally another thing. And so oftentimes you'll see these decrepit buildings. They have a plan. They might be working on development of plans. They might be working with the city to get their plans. It could take years. So what this person is saying here, applies even on a much greater level to a commercial site that if they're going to be building it, developing it, whatever, that takes years to get it through the planning council, get it through public hearings, get it through whatever, physical inspections it needs to, pay all the fees for all that. Somebody owns these parcels. So it's not like you see a building, it's falling down, it's totally neglected just because. You're not seeing that. And the really good example of that is a commercial building in downtown Portland right now that is basically Fentanyl Alley. They had Fentanyl Alley and then Fentanyl Alley moved, and that moved to where this family in Portland, that's one of the premier real estate families, has an old Key Bank, and they are boarding it up right now because people ripped off the boards and got into the building, and they're kind of making themselves at home. But it's in this area where all this drug dealing is going on. So that's an example of somebody does own that family. There was an article that came out in the Willamette Week. I think, did I read that article? I can't remember if I did or not, but I physically read it, but to myself in my own head. And they're going to be boarding that. They're trying to take care of the structure. So even though a structure isn't being used, isn't open, looks like it's decrepit, looks like it's, about to fall down at any moment, those all have use. Those all have use. And it's a future use that their company that owns them, they want to be able to develop it down the road. So if you see one, don't assume, hey, we could throw homeless people in there, because that's not how it works. And I know it's slightly different than residential. You see a residential home, hey, we could throw our homeless there. Yes, you could. But more than likely, there's something going on. It's just, there's no sign out in front to, tell you exactly what's going on. If you do see a sign out in front, you can go up and read that sign, and you can probably do a quick little search and find out exactly what's going on with that commercial property. See where it is in the platting process. See where it is within the development process. See how many hearings have been taking place. See what the objections are. What are they kind of trying to throw in there? Is it going to be a mixed use development? Is it going to have a bunch of offices above the retail on the first floor? Is it going to have a bunch of apartments? Is it going to have a bunch of condos? Those are all things that you can find out by doing a little bit of research instead of just looking at something and going, we need to redevelop this into a skateboard shop, and by skateboard shop, I mean any use. I just threw that out there because skateboard shop, we do need those. But those are a specific use. Walmart buildings are so big that oftentimes there's very few people that can take those over. You might have to cut them up into multiple retail spaces because, 120,000 feet, there aren't that many businesses, 140,000 feet. There aren't that many businesses out there that need that large of a structure. There aren't, period. So Long's Drugs in Honolulu, going by the wayside. It's not surprising, is it? It's not surprising. It's already been foreshadowed by, hey, we're going to pull out of downtown Honolulu. And that's what they're doing. So in downtown Honolulu, which I've talked about this, Hawaii, Democrat, got the policies. This is what you get. You voted this stuff in. You voted the policies in that allow homelessness to just run rampant, drug use to run rampant, criminal activity to run rampant. Those things, you combine those with massive addiction issues, with the fentanyl crisis, and you've got the perfect recipe for why big corporate is shutting down these companies willy-nilly. Walmart, Target, Walgreens, Long Drugs, all of the essential type stores that provide foods, goods, services, medication, prescription drugs to those communities. And those communities are now being left, without alternatives in some cases. Oftentimes there's a store nearby, but in some cases it's like miles. And that makes it very difficult for those inhabitants to make a go of it. But the bottom line is they probably voted for a lot of these policies, and now it's coming back to them. And now they're going, hey, it feels like we're being deserted here. Well, the harsh reality is you are. And why is that? Because your stores aren't profitable, because XYZ percentage is walking out the front door. But nobody really wants to say that, do they? No, that's the quiet part out loud. It's like, corporate expectations weren't being met at this store. That's literally what you get. The other thing you get that you hear, I read so often is, now, we didn't take this decision lightly. This wasn't something we just pulled out of our asses. No, sirree. We did not do that. We thought long and hard about this. No, they didn't. You looked at your bottom line, you looked at your profit and loss, and you went, good Lord, shut that bad boy down. That's literally what management did. That's literally what corporate did. This isn't a hard decision. I mean, they barely got to sit down and pull their pen out and get their note-taking going before they're like, yep, shut that one down. Yep, shut that one down. All right, what's the bottom line? Oh, gee whiz. Why didn't we shut that one down further? And we're in a cycle right now due to the pandemic and shopping habits changing and retail apocalypse. Those are some of the other things happening. But the vast majority of store closures that we're seeing happens because of criminal activity, shoplifting, drugs, store thefts, violent interactions between customers and homeless people stealing stuff. You have enough of that and you have no profitability. The only question is why wouldn't Long's Drugs shut down a location that's suffering from that? Why wouldn't they? Ask somebody that in one of these communities. Well, what would you do if you were a management? I'd get more police in here. Really? Would you? Because that's not really an option, because that's been looked at. I'd get more security. To do what? Chase them out the door and let them go? Because that's what you've got going on. And because those are the policies, that are being enacted now. You got insurance companies that don't want to deal with these whacked out drug jobs. So they're just letting people go. So you've decriminalized shoplifting. You've decriminalized drugs. Here you are. Here's your sign. All right. That's it for me on this one. I'm going to leave it with here's your sign. Love that guy. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you on the next one.